Valentine's Day was never a big deal to me. I wasn't one of those hopeless romantics who counted down the days, planned extravagant dates, or expected some over-the-top grand gesture. But that year, I actually had a reason to celebrate. Her name was Emily. We had been dating for about 5 months, and things were going really well. She was smart, funny, and had this way of making even the most boring days feel special. We decided to keep things simple for Valentine's Day. Dinner at a quiet little Italian place, followed by a night in with a movie. Nothing fancy, just us. It was supposed to be perfect, but something happened that night, something that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. Night started off great. We had dinner, exchanged small gifts, and walked back to my apartment in the cold February air. Emily clung to my arm, laughing about some terrible pickup line the waiter had tried on her when she went to the bathroom. Everything felt normal. But as we walked, I couldn't shake this strange feeling, like we were being watched. I told myself I was just being paranoid. After all, it was Valentine's Day. There were people out everywhere, couples strolling hand in hand, groups of friends celebrating together. But this was different. This was something else. I glanced over my shoulder. The street was mostly empty now, except for a single figure standing on the corner, just barely visible under the dim glow of the streetlight. He was wearing a black suit and a mask. Not a Halloween mask or one of those cheap plastic party masks. It was smooth, featureless, and white, like something out of a nightmare. The moment I locked eyes with him, my heart started pounding. Emily noticed me tensing up. "What's wrong?" she asked. I didn't want to freak her out. I forced a laugh. "Nothing, just thought I saw something weird." She turned to look, but by then, the man was gone. Or so I thought. We got back to my apartment, and I tried to shake the uneasy feeling. Emily put on a movie while I went to grab us some drinks from the kitchen. That's when I saw them. A bouquet of roses. They were sitting on my kitchen counter, wrapped in deep red paper with a small card attached. I hadn't bought flowers. My stomach twisted as I slowly reached for the note. It only had 3 words, scrawled in jagged handwriting. "She's mine now." I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands started to shake. How the hell did these get here? My front door had been locked. The windows were shut. Emily called from the other room. "What's taking so long?" I didn't want to scare her, so I crumpled the note and shoved it into my pocket. I grabbed the drinks, took a deep breath, and walked back in. But my mind was racing. Who put those flowers there? And worse, how did they get inside? Halfway through the movie, I noticed Emily looking uneasy. She was staring at the window. It took me a second to realize why. The curtains were open slightly, just enough to see the reflection of the TV screen. But there was something else. A shape. A shadowy figure standing outside. Right behind us. I spun around so fast that I nearly knocked over the coffee table. But when I looked out the window, no one was there. Emily clutched my arm. "Did you see that?" I nodded, my mouth dry. We were on the 2nd floor. There was no balcony, no fire escape, no way for someone to be standing there. The fear in my gut turned into full-blown panic. I rushed to the door, checking the locks. Secure, every window locked. The only way in or out was through that door. And yet, someone had been inside earlier. I tried to play it cool, but Emily knew something was wrong. I finally told her about the flowers. Her face paled. "This isn't funny." "I know," I said. "I'm not joking." Then my phone buzzed. A blocked number. I hesitated before answering. "Hello?" Heavy breathing. Then a whisper. "She looks beautiful tonight." I hung up immediately. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely hear. Emily saw my expression. "What is it?" I couldn't bring myself to tell her. Instead, I grabbed my keys. "We need to go." We drove straight to her place. I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat by the window, watching, waiting. I kept telling myself it was just some sick prank. that it was over. But I was wrong. The next morning, I went back to my apartment to grab some clothes. Everything seemed normal. No signs of a break-in. No more flowers. No strange phone calls. Maybe it really was over. Then I saw the note. It was taped to my bedroom mirror. I recognized the same jagged handwriting from the card that came with the flowers. But this time, there was no threat, no cryptic message. Just one word. Soon. I never found out who he was. The police said there was no sign of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing on security cameras. Emily and I didn't last long after that. She couldn't handle how paranoid I had become, and I don't blame her. I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my locks over and over again. Every time I saw a man in a suit, my blood ran cold. To this day, every Valentine's Day, I feel like someone is watching me. And sometimes, I still find red roses outside my door. I've never been big on Valentine's Day. It always felt forced, like a holiday designed to make single people miserable and couples spend money on overpriced chocolate. But that year, I actually had plans. Her name was Rachel. We had been dating for a few months, and though we weren't exactly serious, we enjoyed each other's company. She was sweet, funny, and had a mischievous streak that kept me on my toes. We decided to spend Valentine's Day together, nothing fancy, just dinner at her place and maybe a movie. I was supposed to pick her up at 7 p.m., but when I got there, she was gone. And what happened next still haunts me to this day. I arrived at Rachel's apartment building right on time. I had a small bouquet of roses in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other. I knocked on her door. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. At first, I figured she was running late, maybe in the shower, maybe getting dressed. I sent her a quick text. "Hey, I'm here. You okay?" No response. I tried calling. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. Something felt wrong. Rachel wasn't the type to ghost someone, and she was excited about our date. She'd even texted me that morning saying, "Can't wait to see you tonight." Now she was just gone. I knocked again, louder this time. "Rachel?" Silence. My gut told me something was off. I checked the door. Unlocked. I hesitated before stepping inside. The apartment was dark, except for the glow of a single lamp in the living room. "Rachel?" I called out. No answer. I took a few steps inside, my heart pounding. Her coat was hanging by the door. Her keys were on the kitchen counter. She was here. Or she had been. Then I noticed something strange. Dining table was set for two, candles, plates, even a bottle of wine chilling in a bucket of ice. It looked like she had been getting ready for our date. So, where was she? I checked the bedroom. Empty. The bathroom. Nothing. Then I noticed her phone sitting on the coffee table. Screen cracked. The uneasy feeling in my stomach twisted into full-blown dread. Rachel never went anywhere without her phone. I picked it up, pressing the power button. The screen lit up. A single unread text message from an unknown number. I opened it, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was a photo of Rachel. She was sitting on a chair in what looked like a dark, windowless room. Her hands were tied behind her back. Her mouth was covered with duct tape. Her eyes were wide with terror. And behind her, just barely visible in the shadows, was a figure wearing a mask. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking. My mind was racing. This had to be a joke. A prank, right? No, this was real. I could feel it in my bones. I grabbed my own phone and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. As the line rang, I turned back toward the front door and froze. The door was slightly open. I hadn't left it like that. Someone had been inside. Maybe they were still here. I felt the panic rising in my chest. My heart was beating so fast I thought I might pass out. Then the 911 operator answered. 911. What's your emergency? I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. My girlfriend is missing. Someone took her. There's a photo on her phone. Someone sent her a photo of her tied up. Sir, what's your location? I barely managed to choke out the address. Stay where you are. Officers are on their way. I didn't want to stay where I was. I wanted to run. But before I could move, my phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. I stared at the screen. A single word. God, that was all it took. I bolted for the door. As I ran down the hallway, I heard it. A slow, deliberate creak, like someone stepping onto a wooden floorboard. From inside the apartment. I didn't look back. I sprinted down the stairs, nearly tripping over my own feet. I burst out onto the street, gasping for air. Moments later, 2 police cars screeched to a stop in front of the building. I flagged them down, nearly hysterical. I told them everything about Rachel, the text, picture. They went inside. But Rachel wasn't there, and neither was her phone. The cops searched the apartment, but they found no sign of a break-in, no fingerprints, nothing. Then, one of them suggested checking the basement. The building had an old, unused storage basement that tenants rarely went into. The landlord let the police in. The air was thick with dust. The single light flickered as they moved deeper inside. And then, a chair in the center of the room. The same chair from the photo. The rope was still tied around it. The duct tape was lying on the floor. But Rachel was gone. The police launched a full investigation. They checked security cameras. They questioned neighbors. But there was no trace of Rachel. She had vanished. A week later, I got another text from the same unknown number. A video. I hesitated before pressing play. The footage was dark and grainy. It looked like it had been recorded on an old camera. At first, I couldn't make out anything, just shadows moving. Then, Rachel. She was standing in the middle of a dark room, facing the camera. Her eyes were empty. A deep, distorted voice spoke from behind the camera. Say goodbye. Rachel didn't move. Then, the screen went black. I tried calling the number. It was disconnected. And that was the last I ever saw of her. Rachel was never found. The police eventually stopped searching. They called it a missing persons case with no leads. But I know the truth. Someone took her, and they wanted me to see it. To this day, I wonder, was I supposed to be next? I used to think secret admirers were sweet. You know, like in those cheesy movies where someone leaves love notes in a locker or sends flowers with a cute little riddle. But that was before I had one. And before I realized that sometimes a secret admirer isn't just some shy romantic. Sometimes they're watching, waiting, and sometimes they don't want you to love them back. They just want to own you. It started on February 1st. I remember because I was in a terrible mood that morning. My ex had just posted a picture with her new boyfriend, and I was feeling extra bitter about Valentine's Day. Then, as I left my apartment, I saw it. A small pink envelope taped to my door. It had no name, no return address, just my name written in red ink. Inside was a single note. Counting down the days, can't wait to finally be together. There was no signature, no clue who sent it. At first I laughed. It had to be a joke, right? Maybe one of my friends messing with me. But I didn't tell anyone about it. And that was just the beginning. A few days later, I got another note. This time, it was left on my car windshield. Thinking of you always. You belong to me. Weird, right? Then, the gifts started coming. On February 5th, a single red rose was left at my doorstep. On February 7th, a box of chocolates arrived. No sender, just a card that said, "Taste my love." On February 10th, I found a small, heart-shaped locket in my mailbox. I almost thought it was kind of sweet, until I opened it. Inside was a tiny printed out photo of me, sleeping. I dropped the locket like it burned me. Someone had been in my apartment. Someone had been close enough to take a photo of me in my bed. My blood ran cold. This wasn't cute anymore. This was dangerous. I started locking everything. Windows, doors, even my closet. But no matter what I did, I still felt watched. Then, on February 12th, my phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then picked up. At first, nothing. Just breathing. Then, 2 more days. The voice was low, distorted. I hung up immediately. That was it. I was going to the police. I told the officer everything. The notes, the gifts, the photo. He didn't seem concerned. "Do I have any idea who it could be, he asked. "No, but whoever it is, they were inside my apartment." That made him pause. But in the end, he just sighed. "There's not much we can do unless they actually threaten you or try to hurt you. If anything else happens, give us a call." That was it. A stranger was stalking me. They had broken into my home, and the cops weren't going to do anything about it. I left feeling sick. I was on my own. Valentine's Day came. I called in sick to work. I wasn't in the mood to go anywhere, see anyone. I just stayed inside, keeping my phone close. That night, around 11 p.m., my doorbell rang. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I crept toward the peephole. Nobody was there. Ding dong. Again. My stomach twisted into knots. I flipped the lock, pulled the door open just a crack, and nearly screamed. A box, sitting right in front of my door, wrapped in red ribbon. I stepped back, my breathing shallow. Something about it felt wrong. I wanted to leave it, call the cops, but my hands moved on their own. I untied the ribbon, pulled off the lid, and inside was a human heart. Not chocolate, not fake, real, bloody, raw. My stomach lurched. A folded note sat on top of it. "Now we can be together forever." I dropped the box, scrambling backward, my vision blurred, my body shaking violently. Then, footsteps from the hallway. Someone was still there, watching me. I turned and saw a shadow move past the peephole. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and called 911. This time, they took me seriously. The cops arrived in minutes. They took the box, the note. They checked the security cameras, and that's when they saw him. A man in a hoodie, standing outside my door for hours, just watching. Then, at 11 p.m., he placed the box down and stepped back into the shadows. But the scariest part, they never caught him. The footage didn't show his face. No fingerprints, no evidence. It was like he had vanished. I moved out the next day, left everything behind. To this day, I don't know who he was. I never saw him again. But every Valentine's Day, I still get a letter. No return address, no signature. Just a single, chilling sentence. "I'll never stop loving you." Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling tales of the paranormal.